everyone. We are halfway, well I am halfway through April, so that means it is vlog time. I have already been in the shop for a couple of hours and I have been busy doing stuff, as you have seen. I have been busy packing orders for Pimp My Soap. A huge thank you to everyone who has been ordering on there. It has been so good to actually see stuff finally actually moving off the shelf, though it is a little bit bittersweet to finally be getting the sales on that site just as it's closing down, but it is very much appreciated, everyone who is coming along and helping to clear out that stock. Basically the website is only open until the 19th of May and then it is closing down for good, disappearing, won't be coming back. Discussed it all in the last vlog, so we won't go there, but I have just packed those orders. I'll get them off this afternoon. There weren't any orders that came through for Soy and Shea over my weekend, which was a bit of a shame, but I'm sure we may hopefully get a couple this week. We are approaching Mother's Day, so hopefully we'll get a couple of orders for Mother's Day. Alright, so some other things I've been doing this morning. I have got on a pot of blueberry body yogurt because that has been the most popular out of the range. Personally, I prefer the strawberry one because it smells like chocolate dipped strawberries. It smells so good, feels lovely on the skin as well, but everyone is really liking the blueberry. So I've got that one started out the back there. What else have I done? I've just popped the, well I'm doing it now, I've popped the candle wax tank on. I've got some refills for one customer which I'll be getting on to doing, and I've just done a bit of a stock take off my shelf to see what I need to make. And this is where I am struggling because the big news that hubby and I have been working on, and I know so many of you are keen to find out, is basically I am moving Soy and Shea. So this is my final few months here in this shop, and where the candles come into play with what I'm struggling with is that we're actually doing a big move, and the candles are the biggest, bulkiest, hardest things to move. So I'm trying to find that real sweet spot of having enough candles on the shelf to make it look like I carry stock, but without having it so that in a few months time when I need to pack all of this up and go, I'm not struggling to pack candles, diffusers and melts. They are the heaviest stuff that I have in the shop. They are the bulkiest stuff, and because of the candle jars I use, these Cambridge ones, once you get the lids on these Cambridge jars you can't get them back into the box that they come in, so it's really hard to actually find boxes to pack them in to get them transported safely. These little jars which I'm packing up now, they actually come boxed with their lids on, so I can easily transport these. But the bigger jars are going to be a bit of an issue. So I'm trying to work out this kind of happy medium where for the next few months I do actually have enough candle stock on the shelf without it being too empty, because my plan is towards the end of my lease, maybe in like the last 2 weeks that I'm actually in the shop, I will have a sale to try and get rid of as many of the bigger candles as I possibly can off the shelf, so I don't have to worry about moving them, and when I get the new shop I will just remake everything. So that's why I'm having a dilemma. I think I've worked out a nice happy little medium here, but we'll wait and see what happens. I may regret this in a few weeks time. Alright, I've just finished wicking up all of those jars. I need to make some Bides balm, so I'm going to do that now while I actually give you a little bit more background information of what's actually happening. If you've been watching the vlogs for a little while now, like almost a year, you will know that about 4 weeks, in fact it was exactly 4 weeks until the end of my lease, the agent said to me if I do want to actually stay on in the shop, this was the new rent. And keeping in mind, we actually have to tell the landlord if we plan on staying in the shop 6 months before our lease is actually up. So I'd already told them that I was planning on staying. but they said that I didn't have to stay on if I didn't agree with the new rent. Now, at that time, this new rent was actually 30% more than what I was paying at the time, and it was pretty scary because I knew that we were heading into this recession, that sales were going to slow down. I didn't know if I was going to be able to pay the rent and all this sort of stuff. And after looking at all my options, it was decided that the best option that I really actually had was to stay in the shop for another year, and over that year have a look at my other options so that I wasn't getting too stressed about the whole shop situation. It was at this point that I actually discovered I get really quite sick when I get stressed, because I got very sick over this whole kerfuffle over the shop. We decided it was best that I actually stay on in this shop, because if I actually moved, I was going to be paying more rent in other places anyway. It was going to cost me just as much to actually move the shop as it was going to cost me just to pay the difference in the rent. And I also didn't want to just close up and work from home, because to me that did feel like I was going backwards. I didn't get enough online business at the time to be able to warrant doing that. It's a little bit different now, but basically it was, right, we'll stay on and we will find what we can do over the next, you know, sort of 8 months, and then give myself 4 months to close the shop up. So we have done an awful lot of looking and investigating and checking out different places. Actually, that needs a shake. I started looking in Cleveland, because that's where that's where I wanted to stay, because one of the things with my business is that I rely heavily on walk by traffic. It is hard these days because everybody has their heads buried in their phones, so nobody these days actually sees what's down little side alleys like they used to. But I did want to still stay in the area and try and get a street front shop, so that maybe more people would actually find me. And, you know, the rents were pretty good and reasonable. But over the last sort of maybe 8 months, the atmosphere in Cleveland has really, really, really changed. It has basically, I don't know, nobody comes out to Cleveland anymore. There's a word I want to use, but I know it will get flagged on here. So I'm trying to avoid using it. Basically nobody is coming out. Everyone in the street is saying that their sales are going backwards and backwards and backwards. It doesn't matter what they're doing, they're not getting the people coming in. I can tell you in the area, in April and May alone, there are about 7 shops, if they've not already closed down, are closing down in April and May. And it is just basically becoming a little bit of a ghost town. There's a few extra things which are happening. I did mention in my last video that I'd been starting to feel not life-threatening unsafe, but I was starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable being here in the later hours, so I changed my actual work hours a bit. And after I'd actually put that out, I was chatting to another shopkeeper, and I actually found out why I was actually feeling that unease. It's not the sort of thing I'm going to share on here. There are buildings which are not occupied by legal tenants, let's put it that way, with activities going on in them that should not be going on in them, and one of them is pretty much directly across the road from me, and that is why I have actually been feeling that unsafe, because of the people that are around. And I didn't know any of this until after I'd said that. So yeah, it's definitely time to move away from Cleveland. I need to go and put this in the heat so it starts to melt down. So over the last few months, hubby and I did actually start looking at other areas I could go to that would have the foot traffic that I needed, the rent that was affordable. Oh, that lid's gone on too tight, and that sort of thing. So I actually did start looking at other areas around here, like Wellington Point and Ormiston, which is, it's only about 10-15 minutes away from here, but that's an extra 10 or 15 minutes on top of my trip already, making it about a 40-45 minute trip to get into a workplace. I looked at places like Wynnum and Manly, which again are quite a fair distance, and I said if I'm gonna work for myself, I am not traveling 40 or 50 minutes to go to work. I also want to be close enough. This lid's gone on way too tight. I also want to be close enough that if anything does happen at the shop, I can actually get in the car and get there quickly. So Wynnum and Manly were kind of very quickly pulled off the list. We looked at another place just down the road called Capalaba, but the problem is, even though I found lots of fantastic places, one of the places was like this little house that had a room I could have had as a shop, a room for creating in, it had a full kitchen, it had another room where I could do classes, it had a full-on bathroom and everything. Problem was, I was only going to get drive-by traffic or people who actually specifically knew where I was coming to travel to me. So we crossed that one off the list. There was nowhere in Capalaba where it actually had a lot of walk-by traffic. I then even went as far as looking at a little place I love called Mount Tambourine, and it's got like this little tourist gallery walk thing that people can go down, and I very quickly learned why there is such a huge turnover of shops up at Mount Tambourine. One of the shops that actually came up as being available, I'm determined to get this off, one of the shops that actually came up as being available was half the size of this shop and the same amount of rent. And then to get a shop up there that was the same size as this shop, I was looking at more than double the rent, and I then understood why people did not stay in that. It's a beautiful little street in up at Mount Tambourine, but it is expensive rent-wise, so we crossed that one off the list as well. After a lot more discussion, we kind of sat there thinking, are we prepared to actually move for my business as well? And we kind of got there of thinking, yeah, maybe we could have a look at moving. And we started exploring our options, more so around here than anything, because this is where my family live. And it was at that point where we actually lost Lucy, so we kind of put it all to the wayside for a little bit. And then we were looking at houses along with my sister-in-law, who is planning or was planning on moving house, when we then found our absolute dream property, a property that hubby and I have talked about ever since we first met. So probably not when we first met, but after we actually bought our first home together, because hubby already had the house when I first met him. But when we actually bought our first home together that we both picked together, we started discussing the sort of house that we would love to both have one day. And we both wanted a house that had a bit of land, didn't have neighbours right next door, so you had that little bit of privacy. We wanted it in a nice little country area. There was lots of things that we wanted in the house, and we saw this house that basically fit all but one thing on our list. And one of those things, it was something we actually discussed much later on, and that was that I always wanted to have a butler's pantry, and this house is missing a butler's pantry, but it has got a brand new, fully renovated designer kitchen in it. It's absolutely stunning, so I'll forego my butler's pantry for this beautiful kitchen. And we looked a bit more into it, and we decided to put in an offer. It took him 2.5 weeks to finally agree to let us to purchase this house before the auction. Going to auction was not something hubby and I could do. You have to have cash up front to go to auction, so it was just not something that we could do, but we so desperately wanted this house. So he finally accepted that offer, and we get the keys on the 29th of April. We are so excited. The house is in a place called Mooloolah, so that for Aussies, particularly Queenslanders, that is not to be confused with Mooloolaba. It is called Mooloolah or Mooloolah Valley, and it is up at the Sunshine Coast. It is inland from Caloundra, halfway between Caloundra and and Mulaney. For those of you who live internationally, we are probably about 10 to 15 minutes away from Steve Irwin's Australia Zoo. The way the crow flies, probably would take us about 20-25 minutes to get there by car, but it is in that sort of vicinity, and it is just absolutely stunning. When we've got keys and stuff, I will do some footage of this house, and we've got a couple of plans for it. It was one of those houses where we walked in and we didn't want to change a thing, but there is one thing I would like to add, and that is I would love to have a jacuzzi when we get there. So that will be my plan, is to save up and get a jacuzzi for this house, but otherwise it's perfect. The problem with that is, as I said, it's up at the Sunshine Coast and I'm in the Redland Coast. So, and it's about an hour and a half away from the shop. So obviously I am not going to be staying in this shop, because I am not doing, if I'm not going to do a 40-minute drive, there's no way I'm going to do an hour and a half drive to get to my shop either. So basically the lease in the shop doesn't end until the 27th of July. So it is going to be a very, very, very long, painful week. We've actually had a 45-day settlement on the house, and that 45 days, I can tell you, has gone by so quickly. Usually the year flies by, but the last few weeks have just, they've gone by so slow, and like every day it's like, have we got through this 24 hours yet? So it's been quite a slow few weeks. So we've got 2 weeks left until currently, as of I'm filming, we've got 2 weeks until we get that key, and that means those 4 weeks are just, it's been, so we've been packing up in the house, packing down the stuff that we don't use and stuff like that. The kind of plan is that because I have to be in the shop until the end of July, unless anyone comes along to take over my lease, the plan kind of is to get the key on the 29th of April, and then hubby and I are actually taking a week off. So he'll take a week off work, I'll take a week off the shop here, and we're going to move as much of the stuff that we don't use on a regular basis but still want to keep up to the new house. So basically it's going to allow us to declutter our current home. So pretty much I'll be moving all of my craft stuff up there, because I just don't think I'm going to have time to do any crafting. So things like my sewing machine, my fabrics, all the engraving machines and everything like that will get moved out. We've packed up like all the books that we have that we want to keep, like some of my cookbooks and some of the novels that I've had over times that I actually want to keep. All that's going to go, all of the CDs and things like that we want to keep, that will go up to the house. And I'll also pack up a lot of the excess stock from here, so all of the empty candle jars that I've got, like I've got hundreds of them at home, they're going to go up to the new place. So basically over the next few weeks we will slowly move stuff from out of our house, get it decluttered and down to, so that it still looks like a warm, welcoming, lived-in home, but so that most of the stuff is gone. And then we'll put our current home on the market sometime from the middle to the end of May, so that hopefully when it sells you get a 4-week settlement, takes us through to the end of June, and then we'll see what happens in that July sort of time. My current plan in my head, unless things change, is to keep the shop open right up until that very last week of June, where people can come in. I'll be continuing to stock things up, do refills on candles, stuff like that. And then in the first week of June I am going to have a little bit of a sale to get rid of the stuff that I don't want to transfer from out of the shop, such as I said, those candles, all the Bath and Body stuff. None of that's going to get go on sale, because that sells online. The candles don't seem to sell online as much as what they do in the shop, and then like the Bath and Body stuff sells quicker in the shop than it does online. It's really funny how it works. So I'll definitely keep all the Bath and Body stuff so I can continue to keep selling online while we're moving, but the candles I'll pretty much run them right down to bare minimum stock to make it easier to move. I've already eyed up, because this is, I know, a question everyone's going to be asking, I've already eyed up the shop that I want when we get up there. I am praying to all the shop gods that are up there to please keep it available until I get up there, because I cannot afford to pay rent on 2 shops. that is the sad truth of it. I am hoping that this shop remains to be available to rent. If not, I am sure there are going to be plenty of other shops that keep popping up along the way. The hope is to get a shop in Caloundra. There's the main street called Bullcock Street, and it is full of lots of little boutique stores. There's always people walking up and down the street, always people going in and out the shops and buying stuff. So I'm really hoping to get a shop in Bullcock Street and get myself opened up. There's a big Sunday market that happens there as well. So really hoping that I can get this shop that I'm looking at. We'll wait and see. If not, another one I'm sure will pop up. So I'm not closing the shop and finishing that up. I am still going to get myself another shop. I only ever intended on staying in this shop for 3 to 5 years. That was my sort of goal, my business plan, was to stay in here for 3 to 5 years to see if I could do it. The original rent on this shop was really cheap, like astoundingly cheap, and I knew that if I took it, I could then see how much I could actually afford to pay in rent, see if this sort of shop would actually succeed, to see if it was what I wanted, to see if my health could cope with working in here and stuff like that. And the plan was that within 3 to 5 years, if everything was going the way I wanted it, was to find a better located shop as well as a bigger shop if I could. Now when we moved to Caloundra, I don't think I can afford to go into a bigger shop because the rent is a lot more up there than what it is down here. But I also know from being in here and seeing how much I make in a year, especially this year just gone in the recession, I know what sort of rent I can actually afford to pay, and I know that I can afford to pay these rents up in Caloundra. So looking forward to doing that. But yeah, this shop was never a 10-year plan. This was only ever a 3 to 5, and I've got to the end of my 3-year, and this is where hubby and I have decided to take the shop, is to move it to an area so we get to live in our dream home. We get to move to a tourist destination where I know a lot of my customers here actually go on holidays, so I'm still going to get to see them. There is a lot more people up there as well, in terms of people who like to go shopping. Like, all the locals are constantly out supporting the small shops, whereas here in Cleveland the locals do not come out to our smaller shops to support us as much as what they do up in Caloundra. And the other reason we are looking forward to it is my husband's family lives up there. My mum goes up there for holidays regularly, but my husband's family lives up there, and we want to be there to support his mum. She's at a stage where we would like to be able to do a lot more for her, mow the lawn, those sort of things. So we're looking forward to being able to do that with her. So yeah, that's the big news that hubby and I have been working on. We haven't actually been working on the whole moving thing. It was the whole trying to relocate the shop somewhere, and then the whole let's move house thing was kind of, well, let's just go with the flow and see what happens. But that was what I decided on when I got to the end of last year, that now was the time for a new chapter. Last year was pretty emotionally tough, not just in business but in private life as well. And when we got to this sort of point, it was like, I need change, I need to change, I need to grow. And this is what we have been working on, is how to actually get the business to grow, and we are so excited for this next step. Anyhow, I'm pretty sure I've yacked on for long enough that the waxes and things should be melted. So I am going to go and get my beeswax. I am going to go and get my candles all done as well. what a morning it has been. It has just gone 10:30. It's about 20 minutes to 11. And the only thing I've really achieved, other than serving 2 customers, which is a nice change from yesterday, is I've packed a Pimp My Soap order for Tanya from Purple Yang. It has just been one of those days where it's like, why did I bother coming into the shop? It really has. I did leave home about 10 minutes early today because I wanted to pop in and check up on another one of the shopkeepers. I did end up leaving the shop about 20 minutes early yesterday. You kind of get this real feel for the atmosphere around you. You might not know what's necessarily going on, but you just have this feel that there is something wrong out there. And I started to get that feeling quite late in the afternoon. I actually didn't have any customers come into the shop yesterday, apart from one person who came in and said, "You've not got bakery goods. Why are you called the Little French Bakery?" And I said, "I'm not. I'm called Soy and Shea." And he said, "Well, that's not the sign above your door." It's like, yeah, it is. The Little French Bakery is next door. Told me that was very misleading and walked off. So it's like, oh, okay, there's some people that just can't be helped in this world. So that was the only person that actually came in the shop all day, and I've been sitting there starting to read my book, and I was starting to feel a bit uneasy, and I just decided that rather than sitting here and reading my book, I'm going to go home. It was hubby's day off, so I thought I'll go home early. So I bought everything in, and then I went down to the post office, and on my way back through, I stopped off in the shops to pick up some extra bits for dinner. And as I came out the shop to come the back way round to the shop, I saw all these police cars, and there was all this kerfuffle going on in the park across the road. And I thought, well, that's why I've been feeling uneasy. And then I noticed one of the other shopkeepers in tears, and rather than going up to her right then and there while she was talking to police and everything, I just thought, I'll go and see her this morning. So I've been and gone and spoken to her, and she's told me what's going on. As I mentioned yesterday, there is a building that have got basically people in it who shouldn't be living in there. They have been kicked out, and they are not happy, and they are now causing bigger problems. So, and she's actually meant to be closing in 2 weeks' time, and she's decided today she wasn't even going to open up when I went over to speak to her. She was just going to give away all the food for free, and I said, no, don't do that. I said, because the wrong people are going to come in getting the food, the people that are causing you the grief. I said, so put it out there, do what you do best, make your little reel, just say to people that you're not feeling safe, you've decided to close 2 weeks earlier than intended, but you've got a lot of perishable foods, and you work out what you want to do, whether you want to offer 50% off, buy one get one free, whatever you want to do to move that stock. I said, but if you, because she actually plans on closing up and going into a mobile van, and I said to her, if you just close up and disappear, even though it's for really good reasons, I said, your customers are going to wonder what happened, and they're not going to support you when you come back because they'll be worried that you're just going to up and leave again. So put it out there, give them today as a chance while you're packing up. You may as well make some money while you're packing up the shop. Don't give it away for free. So by the time I finished talking to her, she was feeling a bit better. I've come over here. I'm keeping an eye out the door for her every so often to make sure she's all right over there. So yeah, I did that. So I was about 5-10 minutes late opening, but well worth it to make sure she's all right. And then I spent the next I spent the next 10 minutes talking to hubby because I'm actually quite shaken up by what's happened. And I got off the phone, and then I spent the next 45 minutes trying to get the printer to work on the computer. For some reason, it just suddenly wouldn't print, nothing there. I must have turned the laptop off, you know, classic IT. Have you turned it on and off again? So I turned the computer on and off probably about 4 or 5 times. I did the same with the printer, and then it suddenly occurred to me this same thing happened to the computer at home. Just one day the printer just suddenly stopped printing, and I ended up having to take the entire printer off. Like I had to uninstall it and reinstall it. The problem is the printer's always been connected via Wi-Fi down here, and I didn't have the cable to connect it to the laptop, but I did find a spare cable on one of the printers I rarely use, so I've plugged it in, finally got it to work. That's been all I've achieved today, is getting my printer to work. Oh, the joys of running a business. Yeah, these things get sent to test us. So yeah, what have I got planned? So right now I'm molding all of the melts that we made yesterday. I'm going to get them wrapped up. What I tend to do when I'm doing this sort of stuff is, because it was quiet yesterday, as soon as I poured everything, I went through and I got all the packaging and everything ready. So that just makes it easier for today. I could have left it yesterday, just sat and read my book for a little bit longer, but I decided to do all of that yesterday in case today was a little bit busier. So I've talked about that before, of doing jobs when you can rather than leaving them you know, till the day that they need to be done, because you never know what's going to come up. Like I've literally wasted 45 minutes this morning on that computer and printer, which is time that if I hadn't done my labels yesterday, you know, that's it. It takes that time away for doing that. So I'm not rushed about doing anything else. All right, so the next thing I need to do is get these candles here all trimmed down, relabeled. We'll put away the refills so that my customer can come and pick them up, and then all the others will go onto the shelf. I also have to pot up the body yogurt and also finish labeling up the Bides balm. And then that's pretty much everything I have to do today. I've got one more thing left on my list of things to make, and that is some body butter. So we'll make that. And that will probably actually really fill my day up. But if I do have time this afternoon, I am still working on my lip gloss recipe. So I'm going to try and do another test batch. I'm pretty sure I have kind of approached the whole thing really wrong. I was trying to make something that didn't feel particularly heavy on the lips, but it's actually turned out to be quite greasy. So I did a little bit of research, and I think I've worked out what I need to do. So I'm going to take a whole new approach to it and see if I can make some a nicer lip gloss than what I have been making. I've probably been making more of a lip oil than a lip gloss. So if I do have time this afternoon, I will do that. But otherwise, I'm not going to push myself to do any more than what I have already set out to do. Alright, let me get on with the rest of this day. you guys, how was that for an order that I have just packed there? This has come through from Alison. I always forget to put the thank you card in. This one has come through from Alison, and she has gone nuts on ordering the Bio Sparkle, which is so great. I said last month that the biodegradable sparkle was perhaps one of the worst purchasing decisions I ever made with Pimp My Soap, but Alison has just helped clear out one of every single colour, at least one of every single colour that I have out there. Plus she has ordered a couple where she does have doubles. So all of that is in there. Thank you so much, Alison, for that order. That has really made my morning when I woke up and saw that there. So that is in there. Let's get the sticker on the top. I'm going to grab my postal bag. So every Friday the discounts are going up on the biodegradable glitter and the tools and everything. Yeah, it's tempting to leave it until we get up to like that 60-70%, but by the time we're up to those sort of numbers, there's going to be less to choose from. So if there is anybody out there who is interested in stocking up, sorry, I can only ship within Australia. If there's anything that you desperately want, I suggest getting in now. I've got 50% off and I've only got 4 weeks left until it goes, and there is no continuing it afterwards. Once it's gone, and I will work out some other way of getting rid of all this biodegradable sparkle that I've got there, but I'm not paying to renew the website any longer. There is one option I've got. I'm basically not renewing the domain names. They are going, but I might be able to run it. I'm not keen on doing it, but the actual Shopify store doesn't run out until I think it's August, so it would end up being something like Pimp My Soap at shopify.com. I don't know, it's a really long convoluted address which is not easy to find, so I'm in 2 minds. We'll wait and see, but pretty much once it's gone sort of thing. That is that in there. Alright, so it's been a really good morning so far. I've had a couple of people come into the shop and purchase. I was editing the video last night, and I've been very aware of it lately. So ever since I actually started doing videos, I've become very aware of it. But for some reason this month is really, really, really bad. You know when you are talking to somebody and then someone says, but you just said, and you swear black and blue that is not what you just said, and you repeat what you thought you just said. I've actually come to the realization that when people say that to me, there is an extremely good chance that I did not say what I was thinking I was saying. And as I've been editing the footage from the last 2 days, it's like, I'm really bad at it this month. I know that there is so much going on that we're trying, I'm trying to pack stuff up home. We're trying to do the little things around the house that need doing to make it look like we've had all of our decks redone. We've just finished the painting in the house. We've just had pest control and all this sort of stuff that we're trying to get the house ready to put it on the market. And then we're also trying to work out what we're going to take up to the new house. So there is a lot going on in this little fluff ball up here. And I seem to be saying things wrong an awful lot more. Like yesterday I said I was going to make some body butter. I have got absolutely no intention of making body butter this year. What is on my shelves right now is all that is going to stay on the shelf. I do need to empty my oil tank because I need to make sure that is empty so we can move it. So I'm going to be doing that over the next 2 weeks. So there won't be any new soaps coming out other than what is on the cure rack. There's going to be no new products or anything like that. So even though body butters are not technically new because I do them every winter, this winter I've just decided I'm not adding anything else onto the shelf. The body butters, the body yogurts. See, there I go again. The body yogurts are going to be what I do for winter this year, and body butters will come back the following year. So they're not going to disappear completely, but they're just not coming out for this year. Sorry, I thought I had a customer going to come in then. So even though I've got absolutely no intention of making body butters this year, that was what I said instead of body wash. I was actually reading it on my board as body wash, and for some reason when I watched the footage back I've said body butter, and it's like, how much do I actually do this in real life, or is it just something I do on camera? But then I do also remember so many people that do say to me, you said this. It's like, oh, and these days I'm actually much more aware of, yeah, it is possibly that I have said the wrong thing when I'm talking to someone. Oh, anyhow, so I do apologize for all of the sort of things that I put up there going, I actually mean this, not that. It's not something I'm intentionally doing. I don't know how to stop it. Hopefully once we get to July, August, probably more so August, once we get a shop and everything going and everything's kind of settled and this fluff ball up here, I can actually start thinking clearly again. I won't have as many mistakes in the video. Like, it's stupid things like I pick something up and go, I'm going to use this blue pen. It's like, well, it's clearly not blue. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's so bad. So please, I am sorry for all the miscommunications I've been putting in the video. It also didn't help yesterday. I ended up getting some real bad hot flushes, and I know a lot of you are going to go, but you're too young for that. Because of the PCOS, they do say that menopause is meant to kick in a lot earlier, usually in your early 40s, which is where I'm at. So I'm going to guess that is what's starting to actually happen. And when it gets like that, I can't concentrate, which is why the rest of yesterday's video became more about the actual music side of the video than talking, because I couldn't concentrate. I was having to sit down every 2 seconds because I was just getting too overwhelmed. And yeah, by the time I got home, I was exhausted. I was so tired. I decided, no, go and edit the video. Did that, and then I basically sat on the couch and did nothing else. So I was trying to read my book. I thought, this is just stupid. Put some music on and just sit here and do nothing. So that's what I did last night, because I was so exhausted. But let me finish getting this one zip tied up or sticky taped up. Today I'm feeling so much better, feeling a lot more awake and alive. I did go for a walk this morning. I haven't actually been for many walks since last year. I did try going for walks for the first couple of weeks after we lost Lucy. And I got to like about the 3rd or the 4th week of trying to go for walks and trying to keep up my morning walks. And I came home and I said, that's it, I'm not going anymore. This is absolutely ridiculous. And not like that. I came through the door to hubby and I had tears streaming down my face. And I was just an absolute wreck. And I said, I'm not doing this anymore. This is absolutely stupid. Every time I go for a walk, I just burst into tears. And it was every time I went for a walk, because for the last sort of 16 years I had been walking with a dog, and all of a sudden I didn't have a dog, and it's almost like you're going walking without your leg or something. Like, there was a huge part of me missing, and I couldn't cope with doing the whole walking thing. But I did go and see my endocrinologist last week to go and get my yearly checkup. Things are all looking really, really good. We've had a few incidents. We've had to change a couple of things because, well, we're not going to get into it. It's too complicated. But we did have to change a couple of things, and one of the things is my vitamin D has really dropped. My mum struggles with iron and vitamin D, and I do as well. But I've always been able to maintain a level of vitamin D that is extremely low, but not in the danger zone. And since my last blood test, my vitamin D has plummeted. And when I was talking to the endocrinologist, who is extremely good, she doesn't just want to rattle off numbers and, you know, get the Medicare and off she goes. She actually does take an interest in your life, and was talking about everything that had happened last year and all the stresses and everything. And she said, your vitamin D's gone down because you're not walking. It's like, right. She said, if you're not going to start walking, you need to start taking supplements. And she knows my opinion on supplements. I will not take a supplement unless it has been proven that my body is deficient in it and cannot process it, which is why I'm actually now on iron supplements. With the medication I've been put onto for my PCOS, my iron levels really, really dropped, because the medication made my body do what it should do naturally as a woman. And because that all now naturally happens, my iron went boom. And she said, you have to start taking iron tablets or you are going to end up in hospital, sick, and you are going to need transfusions and everything else. So I accepted I had to go on to iron supplements, and we're back up into the extremely low level of an acceptable range. We try and get it up, we just can't. I eat the right greens, I eat the right meats, I do everything I'm meant to do to get the iron. My body just doesn't absorb it. But we're at a level where I've always been, so we're happy with that. But when it comes to vitamin D, I said I'm not going to take vitamin D supplements until I can kick my butt back into walking, because that is how I manage my vitamin D. So I decided this week we're going to start walking, and I have actually been 4 out of the 5 days. I didn't go yesterday because I was really tired in the morning, and found out later why I was not feeling so crash hot in the morning. But I have been for 4 out of the 5 days this week. So I got up this morning, I went for a walk, and it's just made me feel on top of the world. And I think slowly just being out in that sun, that is what is bringing that vitamin D back up. So I said to her, give me a couple of months to try walking, and if I can't get my walking back up, then we'll discuss what the best option is from there. That's just my personal opinion about taking vitamins. I know that there is no reason for me to be on them unless my body is deficient and can't process them. I'm not going to take vitamins because I can't be bothered to eat correctly or do the stuff that I'm meant to do. So that's my personal opinion. Not everyone is going to agree with that, and that is fine. But yeah, I am feeling on top of the world today, so really, really good. I actually don't have an awful lot to do in the shop today. I did make my body wash. I get that right this time. I made my body wash, and that settled overnight, so that today I will make up the ones that I need to pop onto the shelf just to restock that. And then the other thing I'm going to do today, in fact, the two things I'm going to do today, I actually didn't get around to doing the lip gloss because I was feeling so lousy by the time I got to the afternoon that I kind of just thought I'm not going to try it, because it's still in that form. Even if I've got something that I'm confident in making, I still don't make stuff when I'm not feeling well, because that's when the mistakes happen. So I didn't want to try working on something that I'm still in the processes of formulating. So I'm going to try and do that today. But the other thing that I'm going to do today is a good family friend of mine. She has beehives in the area, and I've been buying honey from her for years. It's beautiful honey. I've used it in some of my products. And the other thing I get from her is her beeswax. Now it does come, because she doesn't have all the full equipment and everything, it does come a little bit dirty, which is what beeswax is before it's actually refined. But luckily it's really, really easy to kind of clean beeswax. It is a matter of melting it down. All of that dirt, well, it's not dirt, it's just bits from out of the beehive. All of that is going to drop to the bottom of the saucepan, leaving the beeswax at the top, and then I can skim off the good stuff. Now if I leave my bit, like that's a small block, but we got some big blocks in here as well. Oh, it smells so good. I've got about 2 kilos of it here. I wanted to get it before we go so that I know I have a bit of it on hand. These blocks are too difficult to use. I actually have a lovely scar. I don't know if it's going to come up. There's a lovely, lovely scar that runs across here on my hand. I was stupid. That is all I can say. I was stupid. I was being impatient. I was trying to do things quickly. That never works. This was probably, well, it was when I was still working from home. So it's been at least 4 years, because it was before COVID. I remember that much. So it's been over 4 years that I did this. I had some beeswax and I got my knife and I was starting to pull it. Now, as someone who has worked in kitchens, hospitality kitchens, who has done a hospitality degree where I was given chef training, I know you never pull a knife towards you. You always push it away from you. Nah, not on this occasion. I was pulling it towards me, and as I pulled it, it slipped off the beeswax, and it didn't skim across my hand. It went bang into my hand. It literally went down, like I literally stabbed myself into my hand there, and it was about a centimeter and a half into my hand. And I'm thinking, oh God, how am I going to tell my hubby what I've done? Because he hates people using knives. He cannot watch people use knives. And I said to him, I was being stupid. I was using the knife the wrong way. I wasn't being patient. I was cutting towards myself. It was going to happen. I said, just be thankful it was a sharp knife, because if it was blunt, you'd be taking me to the hospital right now. So anyhow, I learned my lesson after that. And what I now do with my beeswax when I get it in from my friend is we're going to clean it up. We're going to pop it into a saucepan. We're going to melt it down, let all the excess beehive stuff sink to the bottom. And then what I'm going to do is, I've got a couple of smaller molds, like ice tray molds and things like that. I'm going to then pour the clean beeswax into these smaller molds, which generally, well, depending what I go and pick up, I do actually have some little choc chip size molds now as well. So I'll pour them into those. I'll come out at a smaller weight, make it easier for me to measure and get more accurate measurements with it as well, and not get any more scars on my hand. That's my permanent reminder to treat your knives with respect and don't do stupid stuff with them. So that is also on today's list of things to do. So no more talking. Let's first of all make the body wash. That's the first thing on the list. Alright, it is getting into the afternoon now, and I've had such a brilliant day. I had a customer come into me last week and she was asking if I could get in one of my Halloween scents, and I said to her it wasn't one I was going to bring in. I said if she wanted me to do it, she'd have to take the entire lot, and the best value is the 500ml bottle, which would make about 13 candles. And she said yep, sure, not a problem. So I said I'd have to double check it was still available, because you know it's not Halloween and that sort of stuff. And I've called her this morning to say the fragrance is available. Do you still want to go ahead with it? I do have a little bit of a sample you can smell before, you know, going ahead. And she said, yep, she came into the shop. She's paid me for the 13 extra large candles, and I've now ordered the fragrance, and it will hopefully be on its way very soon. So it's been a fantastic day. I have just made myself another little sample of this lip gloss. It needs to sit overnight so that the oil thickener that I put in here actually thickens up, and then we'll get a better idea tomorrow what that one is like. This color that is in here, I really like it, but this color is one of the reasons my workshop has been so clean and tidy this week. Last week we had a couple of issues. the company that I got these Lakes dyes from, I'm not using again. I've had a bit of a love-hate relationship with them, and they were the only ones here in Australia that had these beautiful red lake dyes, and I thought, right, I'm going to go ahead and order them. When I got them, they were in cheap, nasty Ziploc bags. They'd been put into the Ziploc bags to the point that the zipper wouldn't close. So I'd had one of them open. I thought, right, I need to go and get some boxes to put these in, or I'm going to get dye everywhere. So I went and got some boxes to go and put these dyes into, and the one bag I thought had actually sealed back up. I picked it up, and just that slight pressure on the bag, the powder went poof, and it went everywhere. I ruined a total of 4 of my gift boxes, 2 lids and 2 bases, and of course they couldn't have been the same size lids and bases for the boxes, so it was a total of 4 boxes that I've had to throw out because it's got red dye all over it. I had red dye all over my floor. It all went over my the dyes were actually sitting on my cure rack there, so it was all through all the wires. Luckily it didn't ruin any of the soaps, but it wrecked quite a few of the things. And then I've got it all over the bottom of a pair of the shoes that I used to wear in the shop a lot, so then I had footprints all through the shop. And then while I was trying to actually clean it up, I then discovered that my sink out the back had a major leak underneath it. I don't know how long it had been leaking for, but I had a massive mess under there. And because of the way it was leaking, I actually couldn't turn the tap on to continue cleaning up this mess. So I've got a rubbing alcohol everywhere trying to get this Lakes dye up, and can't rinse my cloths out because the tap's leaking so bad. Every time I turn the tap on, the water was gushing out the bottom of the tap into the cupboard, and it was like, oh my god. So hubby came in that night and actually fixed the tap for me, and I was able to get the entire shop fully clean. But I've now sworn I'm never buying from off this company again. It could have been a lot more disastrous. I could have actually wrecked the floorboards in here, and I would have had to have replaced them before going. So I think we now have more of a hate than a love relationship with this company, and I'm not going to go there anymore. Anyhow, so that red, as much as I like it in the lip balm, oh, it's got a story to go with it. The other thing that I have been doing is I'm just cleaning up this beeswax a little bit more. It was still a little bit dirty, so what I've done is I've put all the beeswax in here, and then I've put about a litre of water, and I've just brought it up to a very light simmer. And now what I'm going to do is strain it into this pot to get rid of whatever other bits of dirt and stuff were in it, and then I'll remove this, and overnight we'll let it set again. And what will happen is that the water will go to the bottom of my pot, and the beeswax will come up to the top, so we can actually take that beeswax off tomorrow. It should be nice and clean. Then I can melt it back down and pop it into these smaller molds that I've got. So I need to actually get this one tipped off now so I actually don't burn the wax. So I'm going to turn that off and do that. I'm spraying my hands with rubbing alcohol and not putting my gloves on. The reason being is because that wax is super hot. If I drop any of it onto the gloves, it burns really worse than actually dropping the wax directly onto your skin. So I don't usually wear my gloves, but I have just sprayed it with rubbing alcohol to make sure that they are nice and clean and sterile. So let's do this. Alright, so I'm not going to do too much scraping of the pot and everything else, because that's just how you end up with even more debris in the beeswax pot there, and I'll have to just keep repeating it until I get it out. So I'm just going to leave it like that, but you can actually see the debris that has come out of that just single clean there. It's nothing bad. It doesn't mean to say that the wax hasn't been well looked after or anything. When wax comes out of the beehive, there is a lot of debris in there, like bits of flowers, bee wings, all that sort of stuff, and that does get left in the wax. So this is just basically cleaning it all out. It doesn't harm the wax in any way to do this. It's just I don't want that in my final product. So we're going to get that all nice and clean. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here scraping all of this stuff, because that is just how you end up with even more debris in here, because a lot of the sort of really fine stuff is what's actually now adhered to my container. Oh, it smells so good. I love the smell of her beeswax. So what I now need to do is go and get some hot water so I can get this cleaned up. This is going to sit here overnight, this big pot here, and basically what will happen is the water will sink out. That is hot. The water will sink to the bottom, the beeswax will come up to the top, and hopefully tomorrow when we lift that beeswax off, it will be nice and clean. If it's not clean, the debris will drop to the bottom of the wax and sit there, so we'll just have to do the whole process again, but hopefully it won't be, and then we can get it into the molds tomorrow. But I'm going to go and attempt to clean this up. I just thought I'd share with you how I'm going to go about cleaning this beeswax up, because you can't just simply put this down the sink. If you do, you are going to run into all sorts of issues over time. So whenever I have been dealing with anything that has a high amount of beeswax in it, I always treat it the exact same way. So I'm just getting as much of it off this spatula as I possibly can, and to get rid of that. And then what I'm going to do is I've just boiled the kettle. I've put my cloth in here so it's the opposite way around. So sorry, just had a customer come in. So I've actually turned this inside out, so all that beeswax is actually sitting on the outside here. It will drain off a bit easier. I'm going to just very carefully pour my hot water wherever that beeswax is, up on the edge of my pan, and then all through that netting, just to try and get that beeswax to melt back down and come off of my cloth. And I am going to need to just get a little bit more up on the side here. And the idea is I'm going to melt my beeswax down, and then we'll let this water cool down in the pot, and then as we're doing with the other big pot of beeswax, all that beeswax will float to the top of the water, and then we can get it off and discard it, and then we can actually clean the rest of this without putting all that beeswax down through our drains. So I think most of that is coming off of there now. Yep, that's looking a bit better. This might take a couple of goes to actually get it clean, but it's just about melting that beeswax down. And I know it's going to be really hard for you guys to see it, but you can actually start to see it floating on the top of the water. Actually tipping that up is going to help me melt some of the beeswax on the side. So it's a slow, painstaking process to clean this beeswax up, but I can tell you what, it is far better than the bill that you get to unblock your drains because you've got things like beeswax and oils and stuff clogging them up, especially in a commercial setting, because it's much more expensive than it is at home. But that is looking like that's coming up a lot cleaner. So I'm going to keep working on this for the rest of the afternoon. Right, it has just got to 10 o'clock, so I've been in the shop for just over an hour because I came in 10 minutes early so I could pack a couple of orders. I also needed to commandeer the camera so I could make the Patreon soap design soap. I actually drew the suggestion out this month and it is for May, but because I'm starting to clear everything up and trying to get on top of everything, trying to get it so that the soaps are on the cure rack and will come off, so I'm not trying to move uncured soaps. So that is all done on the shelf there. I then packed a couple of orders. I actually got the very first Soy and Shea order for the week come through last night. Came through from Simone. She's ordered 2 candles. We've got the medium black raspberry vanilla and one of our limited edition unicorn fluff. So I'm going to get those packed up so I can send them out on Monday. I just can't get to the post office on a Saturday because they close too early. So that was the first one for Soy and Shea. I don't know why it's been so quiet on the website this week. It's just some weeks it's busy, some weeks it's not. And what I do find is when it's quiet on the website, I generally have a good time in the shop, and it has so far been a good week, so can't complain there. The other order I picked when I came in came from Jody, who has cleared me out of another 11 packs of soap dough. In fact, she's cleared out 3 colors completely, so I think there's only 4 colors now left and a total of 11 bags of soap dough available, so they are almost gone. I'm only leaving them on the website for another week, so they'll all actually come off. I think it's the 25th, 26th, 7th, 28th of April. Anything that's left is coming off and going into my own stash because I have some other plans for the website to try and move stuff, but I can't have the soap dough on there because it's so big, bulky and heavy. So once that's off the website, watch out for some great shipping specials and all this extra stuff that I plan on putting on once the soap dough's gone. But huge thank you to Jody for clearing out some more of that soap dough. I'm going to get that one packed up in a moment. I have to finish cleaning up the beeswax. So you can see it is now all set solid. It's pulling away from the edge of my pan, and you can see all the water is in the bottom. So I need to get my wax out, make sure it's nice and clean, dry it off, and once it's dry we can melt it down and put it back into the molds. And the other thing I need to do is package up this lip gloss. I am so happy with how this is looking so far. Hopefully when I get to try it, it is not greasy. Once I've actually finished cleaning everything up, I will get this into a little tester thing that I've got and give it a try. I'm really hoping that it's gonna not be greasy and have not sticky like I find the Versagel is sticky on the lips, but has that sort of, you can feel it, that it's coating, that it's protecting sort of feel, and it's looking like it actually might be there. It was one of those things, I was reading the ingredients and it just suddenly went ping, I know what I'm doing wrong, got it all changed over, and it looks like this is coming up really, really nicely. So fingers crossed that works. I've got to go and clean up out the back, and then we will get on with the day on hand. Can't make much more because I've used the last of my gloves. I need to go and get some more. Oops, I knew I was running low. I've been buying my gloves from Costco. You can get these 2 great big boxes of them because it's still in the shops. These supermarkets and stuff are still overcharging for the nitrile gloves. They haven't come back down in price. So I've been going to Costco to get them, but I haven't had a chance to get there. So maybe on my days off, I will try and get out there to go and get some. But I won't be making anything more because I don't have the gloves to be able to protect my hands against the ingredients. But I have actually done everything on that board. So today is pretty much going to be a pack these orders, clean up, and try and fix up that beeswax as well. So let's get on with it. I'm going to go and open my door because I've had the air conditioning on to do the video of the soap, so you weren't getting all the traffic noise. But it's such a beautiful day with a beautiful breeze coming through, so I'm going to get the door open and get the smells wafting out and draw people in. Alright, I had to go and have a look in the mirror to make sure I'd actually applied that properly, because it is quite a dark stain. I didn't want it looking like some 2-year-old had applied lip gloss to my lips, but really happy with it. Feels really nice. It still has that slight little greasy feel, which I think I know how to get rid of, but it doesn't have that slippy greasy feel. It's a much more pleasant lip balm style of greasy feel on the lips. So really happy with it. It does feel like it is moisturizing. It feels like it's protecting, whereas the other recipes I was doing, I could feel the oil, but within a couple of minutes it kind of all soaked into the lips and I didn't feel it was there anymore, even though the color was. At the moment it is still feeling like it is putting a protective layer over the lips as well as that color. So really pleased at the moment with that sort of feel compared to my old ones, but I think it just needs a teeny little bit more tweaking. I'm happy with the consistency and everything else. I am also going to be testing the color to make sure that it does stay on the lips and doesn't cross over. So, you know, if you give someone a kiss or something like that, you're not going to be putting lipstick on other people, on glassware and stuff like that. And also want to make sure that even though I want it to have that staying power, I don't want people to put it on, you know, 7 o'clock in the morning and still be trying to scrub it off at 7 o'clock the next morning. So going to be testing all those sort of things, but I'm well on the way to actually getting this lip gloss into those real good testing stages. Very happy. There's a big truck going by. Let's get this beeswax sorted. So as you can see, it is not an easy clean task to get the beeswax down into a workable state for me, and one where I'm not going to cause myself extra injuries, but it is well worth it at the end of the day. It really does speed up the processing time per product that you make. If I was trying to shave off bits of the beeswax every time I needed it, it would actually take me a lot longer than the process of melting it down and putting it into these smaller molds. I had two quite small molds. One had, I'm just trying to find some, one had these tiny little hearts and the others are these little dots. These ones are really good when I'm making like test batches and only need, you know, small amounts of beeswax, or if I only need a couple of extra grams, you know, for a bigger batch or something. And then I also did some slightly bigger ones, so when I am measuring out say 100 grams of beeswax, I can put these sort of bigger molds in first and then get those extra couple of grams using the smaller stuff. And I do also put all these little scrappy bits back. I don't just keep remelting this stuff down, because you'll be surprised at just how much of that scrappy stuff is there, but it's really good for when you are missing those couple of grams when you're measuring out, just to grab some of these sort of little bits as well, so I'm not too fussy with what it actually looks like. I just want to get it down into a state that's easier for me to actually work with. So I do have 2 more molds. I'm just got to let those ones actually set up fully, and then tomorrow when I come back in the shop, I'll unmold them, and I'm going to leave these in the bowl overnight because they are actually still warm, so I don't want to put them into my beeswax container and put the lid on because it is going to build up that heat in the box. And although beeswax is antibacterial, antimicrobial, and all the antis out there, you still don't want to do anything too silly like that because you could ruin the whole batch. So we'll leave it overnight to cool, and then tomorrow when I'm back in, I'll unmold that and try and get the rest of the beeswax off my metal bench here. It has been a really good afternoon. I've had quite a number of people coming in. It's already been a fantastic week in the shop, thanks to the customer who came in and got the 13 candle orders or candles from me. Basically, if I don't have any customers tomorrow, I won't be too upset, but I would love to see some as well. So but it has been a pretty good week. I'm going to head home. I'm going to go and edit this bit of footage. I've done so well this week. I have been able to go home every day and edit that day's worth of footage, so we should get this one out fairly quickly. And it is a long chatty one again, which I know you all like. So I'm going to head off home, and we'll be back tomorrow, market day, final day of the week. Good morning. I came into the shop about 40 minutes early. It is market day. I try and get here a little bit early because there are some lazy people out there that like to park in the parking spots that are allocated to this shop just simply because it's closer to the market. And I find that if I don't get here early enough, people park in my parking spot that I have paid to park in. It is so frustrating because all the other parking out the back there is also only 2-hour parking every day of the week. So you have to make sure that you get here on time to get your parking spot. So yeah, in here 40 minutes early. I also had this soap that I was cutting, which was the Patreon design one. It's actually using some rice water in it. I'm not going to show you the design completely because, well, you will have to wait until that video comes out. But I had to finish cutting that one, which I have done. Going to go and pop this onto the rack. It rained all last night, and it was raining this morning when I woke up. It's a bit dull grey, overcast, but there is some little patches of sun trying to shine through. Because it has rained, a lot of the market stalls haven't turned up, which is actually quite good. I used to do markets in the rain when I was doing them. The reason being is that so many market stalls don't actually show up. And what you tend to find with farmers markets, especially with this one, is that people come with a budget and they know exactly which stalls that they're going to go to, and that's all the money that they have to spend at those stalls, which is why sometimes when you do your first or your second markets, you don't do very well at them because people haven't allocated their budget to your stall as of that stage. But once they realise that you're there, you then get added into their budget and then they start visiting you more often. When it rains and all these other stalls don't show up, people suddenly have money left over from their budget and they start looking at the stalls that are actually there, the stalls and the shops that are actually there, and then they start spending their money, and that's how they find you. I used to have some of my best market days on rainy days, because the other thing is it would start raining and everyone would rush under the nearest gazebo that they're under, and if the rain was, you know, for about 4 or 5 minutes, they'd start looking, and next thing you know, they're buying. So I used to love rainy days, and I have actually found down here with the rainy days, because there's less market stalls, people do actually notice the retail shops a little bit more, and then people come into them because they are dry, warmer and that sort of thing. They do come into the retail shops. So I actually like a rainy day down here for market day. So yeah, hopefully it will be a good day in here. But like I said, I've already had a fantastic week, so if the rain does keep people away, it won't be too bad. I know that I'm fine for this month in terms of rent and everything. I'm going to get this beeswax out of here. hubby and I were having some interesting things last night. It's really quite sad. I've heard of it happening on Facebook, but I've never actually seen it myself until last night. One of the things we've been thinking about while we've, with this whole moving thing, we're going to do a lot of the small stuff ourselves because we're moving such a big distance. The removalist cost is going to be quite big, so we were going to do a lot of the small stuff ourselves, declutter the house, that sort of thing, as I mentioned earlier. So one of the ideas we were looking at doing is hiring a van, but after looking at it, they've got low kilometres on them, the insurance on them is astronomical and all this sort of stuff. So I said, well, why don't we look at hiring a trailer instead? And we were looking at that, and then eventually I was sitting there one night and I just thought, for the money that we're going to pay to hire a trailer for 1 week, and then I'm going to need a trailer again in a couple of months' time for another week to move this lot, why don't we see if we can find one on Marketplace second hand, because that's how I sold mine, and you can usually pick them up really cheap. And we found several trailers on there which are cheaper than hiring for the week. Also means that the insurance, if someone knocks, if someone were to knock into the trailer, not a good thing, even if it is hooked up to your own car, but if someone does it as a hire, you're up for thousands of dollars worth of insurance on them. So, it could potentially cost us a lot of money. So we thought, well, we'll have a look. We found a couple of trailers that we liked the look of. Hubby was talking to one of them and he said to me that they were asking for a deposit, and I said, that's fine. I said, I understand people mess you around on Facebook, so people do ask for deposits to secure them. Oh, look at that. Look how that one's just come out. Oh, pretty. People do actually ask for the deposits. I said, not worried about paying that. I said, but we'll pay it through PayPal sort of thing. And I didn't hear much back from him, so I figured he was busy. And then that night I was looking at the trailers as well, and he'd sent me the picture of this one, and I saw the ad, and then I was scrolling. It was literally 6 posts down. I saw this trailer that looks similar. I'm thinking, it looks almost the same. In fact, the garden bed looks the same. So I went into this listing, and yeah, it was the same trailer, just the photos in this one were in a reverse order, and there was actually an extra picture which showed the image looking down into the trailer. And I sent it to my husband and I said, don't deal with the person that you've been dealing with. I don't think they've got the trailer. I said, because I've just found this advert and it's exactly the same. I said, and the woman in the profile picture is not the same as the woman hanging onto the man in the profile picture of yours. I said, not even remotely the same. I said, one of these people don't own this trailer, and I suspect it's the one that you're dealing with. If you have a look at what else that person is selling, it looks really dodgy. And he did say to me that this person had written back to him at one point for no particular reason, saying I is real seller or something like that, and he said that actually then rang alarm bells, and he decided he wasn't going to go ahead with purchasing and said, sorry, we're not doing it. And I found another trailer. He found another trailer, sorry, and I was looking at it and said, again, she wants a PayPal deposit. She wants a deposit, and I said, well, if she wants a deposit, it has to be through PayPal. I'm not doing it any other way. And this woman's written back to him insisting that she only has a family and friends PayPal account. And it's the only account she has if we're happy with that. And I just sent back this big line of laughing with tears emoji, and I said to husband, no way. There's no such thing as a family and friends only PayPal account. I said, you set up your PayPal account, and then if you want to transfer money via family and friends, it is an option that you can do. It is not a type of PayPal account. I said, the problem is when you do that, you don't pay the fee, or the receiver doesn't pay the fee, which voids the protection warranty, and that's why I want to use PayPal. I want to protect her, so if she's not legitimate, we can get our money back. And this woman kept insisted. I said, look, go to her and say, we'll pay a deposit through PayPal. She told us to pay $50 deposit, and I said, we'll pay $52.32, and that is a little bit more than what the fee is that she will be charged at her end. So she'll actually end up with that $50 in her pocket, probably another 50 cents. Because there is a calculator out there that works it out, but it does work it out based off of the international fees rather than the local fees. And I said, so she'll get her money. And she wrote back and she said, no, it has to be family and friends. I said, tell her, no, we're not paying a deposit then. If she doesn't trust us, basically, I don't trust her. And don't say that to her. Basically, if she's not going to trust us, I'm not going to trust her. If she won't let me pay PayPal and cover the fee, I said, that makes me worried. Hubby still thinks she's pretty legitimate, so he is going to go out to go and hopefully pick up this trailer today. And I said, just blame it on me. So I've been stung too many times, and I know that family and friends is not a thing that you use on PayPal unless you 110% trust the person you are paying. And even then, I don't do family and friends if it involves postage, because if something gets lost in the post, you are not covered. So hubby got a lesson on how PayPal actually works last night, but hopefully he is going to go and pick up this trailer today, which is going to make things much easier for us to move, less stressful, because rather than trying to get everything done in 1 week, we've actually got a total of 8 weeks, hopefully, to move everything. So hopefully the trailer is there. Hopefully she is not too dodgy, because it is on the other side of town. Excuse me, it is on the other side of town, so he's got a fair drive to go and pick that up. But hopefully, yeah, we can get a trailer which is going to help us with our move. And it's got, I think she said it's got 6-month rego still left on it. Registration is what we have to pay here in Australia for our vehicles to be on the road. So it has got 6 months rego on it. So the hope is we will use it for the 2 months that we need it. And then providing no one else in the family needs to use it, we'll pretty much sell it as soon as we've finished with it. And we do feel she probably is undercharging for this trailer, having seen all the others on there. So we're hoping we will be able to sell it, if not for what we have paid for it, maybe even a little bit more, especially with the area that we'll be selling it in, because there's fewer available up there. So we'll see what happens there, but hopefully this way is going to make it much easier. Anyhow, I have to go and get this lot cleaned up. I'm going to open the door. Actually, I've got 15 minutes till I open the door. We'll get that opened up, see what happens for the day. There probably won't be much recording. The plan is just to tidy everything away today, and then I'm going to get started on my admin work, because next week is going to be a bit of a funny week. We've got public holidays, we've got an inspection on the house, and then the following week I'm not going to be in the shop. We're going to be busy moving, so I need to get as much done as I possibly can over this weekend, just so that I am not stressed with anything else. So enough chatting, let's go and clean up. I'm still peeling beeswax off everything. The end of the day, I really didn't do much filming, because I have literally sat there all day, and I now have all of my Canva posts all scheduled to go out for next week. I've actually done a few extra because we've got days where we're closing and things like that, just to remind everyone. I did up my shipping labels for these as well, but literally I've had a few people coming into the shop, not many, because we have had some torrential downpours to the point that I couldn't even hear the music in here. It was coming down so hard and fast. So I do feel sorry for the people who are out at the markets. They have all packed up early and are and pretty much all over and done. But it has also kept the customers away today. But even without the big order I had this week, I'm still really happy where I would have finished without that order. Extremely happy with where I did finish for the week. There is one thing I'm not happy about though. So whenever hubby does go to pick things up from off Facebook and stuff, he always sends me a picture of where he's going, the address and stuff like that. It's sad, but it's the reality of what you have to do. So he sent me this picture of the house that he arrived at. There was a few cars and there was a few trailers and stuff out the front. Now, keeping in mind the place that he has driven to go and get this trailer is, I think it's just over an hour away from where we live. So he's actually left home a few hours early for work. So he was going on his way into work. He doesn't start till 12 and he was picking the trailer up at 10. He's rocked up, gone and knocked on the door, and guess what? They know nothing about this trailer. Why? Why are people just so horrible? Like, it's not just that it's put us out. Luckily, we didn't deposit the money. I said to husband last night, don't do the deposit. She's not going to sell it overnight. And she's already taken it off. And that's an alarm bell that will now always go off in my head. She said that if we put the deposit, it is as good as sold. Hubby said he wasn't going to do the deposit, but he'd be there at 10 o'clock tomorrow. And she actually took it as this item is no longer available. So that should have actually rung alarm bells, which from now on it will. If someone removes it when they've asked for a deposit, I'm just going to say don't bother. But it doesn't just inconvenience him to the fact that he's gone out of his way to go and pick up this trailer. We've gone and disturbed somebody in their own home. Like, how many door knocks is this person getting for someone looking for a trailer or whatever else is out there? Come on, people, earn a living respectfully. Don't keep doing this to other people. It is wrong. And I even said to hubby last night, like he said to me actually, he said, so if she did this to every person, she could make a lot of money. And I said, yes, that's exactly why I said we use the protection on PayPal. Never do family and friends. So I'm really, really glad that I have taught him that, because he didn't know. Like, hubby's got a PayPal account, but he only got it out of pure sort of fluke. One day he had to have it to buy something, so he set up this PayPal account after me telling him for years to get one. And I know some people don't like PayPal out there, but it is also, I know some people have had bad experiences with PayPal, but for me it is, anyone who doesn't want to deal with you through PayPal, I'm not interested in, because that is where my protection guarantee is. And you know what, I have had PayPal not protect me against certain things, but for a majority of the time they do. But yeah, it's he did get to learn a lesson about PayPal, and I've just said, look, I've gone through a few more of the ads on Facebook. There's somebody advertising a trailer in the heart of Brisbane. When you look at the pictures of this trailer, it is in rural area. Like, there's big acreage farms around it, and they've blanked out the registration plate, but not completely. And you can see that the registration plate is yellow. Now, for you, those of you overseas, that's not going to mean anything. In Queensland, our registration plates are generally white and brown if it's a new one, or white and green if it's a really old plate. New South Wales has yellow number plates. So obviously this is another bogus advert. So it's like, I said, look, I think we just pay to hire one. We'll just run the risk of it having the insurance and everything. But then he has just messaged me and said he was talking to one of the people he used to work with, and they do actually have a caged trailer, and they've said to us, for a bottle of scotch we can borrow the trailer for when we need it. So we will actually get ourselves a trailer. But it is just so disappointing that so many people are so dishonest. I've got a couple of things for sale on Facebook, and I am so tempted just to take it off, because then you have the other people who actually contact legitimate sellers and screw them around as well. I'm just so over it. It's, yeah, you have to be so cautious, and I hate distrusting people. I really hate it, and I felt so bad saying to my husband yesterday, do not pay the deposit. You do not do it through family and friends. You know, if she's not going to trust us, I'm not going to trust her. And I felt terrible that I could not trust another person, but this is why I don't trust them. But anyhow, we are going to get a trailer, which will help with the whole moving thing. So just be very aware when you are buying things on Facebook. The minute someone asks you for a deposit, be really wary. If they will not let you pay a deposit with Facebook without using family and friends, walk away. Do not do it. Just don't do it. And don't even drive out there. Like, my husband has done a big drive. That's petrol, that's time, it's annoying. Like, he could have been sent to somebody's home who doesn't appreciate people knocking on the door, hence why he sends me pictures of where he's going, because that could have quite easily turned into a violent person at the other end. It is just so wrong. Anyhow, let's get off the subject. It is time for me to head home. I'm going to go and edit this video, and then I'm actually going to go out to dinner with my parents. We're getting in as many dinners and things as we can before we move, and also my mum's doing lots of trips, so we're trying to get in as many dinners in between. Hubby is on a late, so he can't join me, but I'm going to go and do that tonight. And then over my days off, I have got a whole lot of admin work to do. I'm going to start updating all my Patreon stuff and everything ready for May, so that hubby and I can then actually really concentrate on getting the house packed up and moved in that sort of first week of May. Anyhow, I hope you have enjoyed coming along with me on this working week and sharing in our big news. I look forward to updating you more on it, and hopefully at some point I will be able to show you some pictures of the house. Even though we're going up this Friday coming, I won't be showing pictures then, because we technically don't own the house at that point. We are just going through to make sure that it is what we believe we are purchasing. So like, there's no stuff being left behind that we don't want, and the stuff that we believe should be in the house, like the dishwasher and stuff, actually is in the house. So after that we get the keys on the Monday, and that's when you'll start seeing a few of those sort of pictures. So if you want to see what has drawn us to this house, hopefully it will be nice when we like a nice day, I mean, when we go up there. I will be sharing a few pictures over on the stories on Instagram. At the moment, for some reason, it keeps telling me my stories aren't posting to Facebook, so we'll see what we can do about that. But otherwise, watch this space for more news. Thank you so much for coming along with me this week, and until the next video comes out, have a good one, and I'll see you then. Bye.